All right, greetings everyone. I'm Kohana Marwa and I'll be serving as the Master of Ceremony today. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, go.
Perfect. So just a small introduction to the Dais. The Dais is an organization based in Delhi, India, with a vision to empower people towards a better life. The achievement of SDGs and leaving no one behind is one of the core objectives of the Dais, with primary focus on environmental preservation, ensuring equality for all, improved education for children and youth towards a peaceful and prosperous world. With this, I would like to invite Francois Tate, the president at the Learning Planet Foundation and the Learning Planet Institute, for a small introduction.
Thank you so much. It's an honor and a privilege for me to be with you. I'm very impressed by what the Dais is doing, and I love when I see young people that want to make a difference. They want not only to understand the world, but they would like to improve the way the world works, because they realize the many limitations that the world is facing, and the many challenges that you have to face. And so, I know you all have personal challenges, your communities have challenges, but the planet also has challenges. And I think if you're here today is that you realize that those three type of challenges are very connected to one another, and that by coming together, you have a chance of making a difference. And that, I think, is one of the most interesting things you might ever learn in your life. The fact that, by coming together, you can have the impact, and by collaborating, which is not always what education asks you to do. But I think that this is exactly the sort of things that is needed to come out, because the culture of competition and domination and overexploitation is actually destroying our common good, our planet. And we have to learn to cooperate, not only locally, but we have to invent ways of doing this globally. And I think the very fact that you are learning to work in the Model UN framework is super interesting. And, with Keshav, we have had many conversations around this. And I was privileged to be in New York for the General Assembly in September. And it was the first time that there was a Transforming Education Summit. And for the first time ever, 500,000 young people had written the future that they want for education. And the UN Secretary General was very positive when you received it. He says there is 4 ways for youth and institutions to interact. Traditionally, institutions such as the UN ignore the youth or pretend to listen to the youth. They recently have started to have real dialogues, but what we need to do is co-constructing the future. And the fact that the UN Secretary General say this, I think, is an invitation for all of you to contribute meaningfully. And you can do this in many ways. And Model UN is probably one of the most interesting one, especially if you include one more dimensions that the pioneers that wrote the UN Charter had in mind. And so I invite you to have a look at this. The Article 109 of the UN Charter says that every 10 years, there should be an upgrading of the way the United Nations works. Because if that was the case, then the UN will always be able to catch up with the challenges of our time. The main problem is that this article has not been used for too long, since the 60s. So if you've got the impression that the UN is not able to face all the complexities of the world of today, that's partly because of this. So the exercise that you're about to start can invite you not only to find solutions for some problems, but maybe to redesign and remodel UN. So Model UN plus Article 109 is an invitation to remodel UN. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't know if that's clear, but I think if you keep this in mind, you can probably do not only an interesting exercise, but something that can lead to real changes progressively. Of course, it might take time, but imagine if it was not just hundreds of you, but millions of you doing the same sort of exercise and converging on what the world needs. I think that, the grown-ups would not be able not to listen to your voices, your collective voices. So that's the sort of things that we'd like to encourage you to think of. And we would like to encourage you to think about this in the context of what I tend to call planetizenship. So I think you've all heard about citizenship and maybe about its history. the history of citizenship started with men in arms defending the city walls. And the only citizens back then were those men in arms. So women were no citizens, children were no citizens, and they're still not citizens. Migrants were not citizens. And the city walls were separating the human beings from nature. So citizenship is not as inclusive a concept as what we are taught. But what we could try to do is reinvent it and remodel that concept. And so if the city walls is not the right border, maybe the planet is the right geographical entity that we should be caring for. Hence, planetizenship is to the planet what citizenship is to the city. But it's a much more inclusive concept because whatever your age, even whatever your species, you should be included within the planetizen's perspective. And it's not only a much more inclusive, but also a much more ecological concept. And so, if you keep that concept in mind, and if you are redesigning, the various dimensions that you will be working on, and I think that, I congratulate Keshav because the different themes that you'll be working on, those working on UNESCO on the future of education, those working with UNICEF on the rights, or those working for, tech for good, or mental health, or environment, or governance. I mean, all those questions are deeply related to one another. So I strongly encourage you to keep an eye on what the other groups are doing and try to see how you could integrate them together. Just to give you an example, caring for oneself, others, and the planet are deeply related things. And so it linked mental health, environment, education, and technology as levers to caring better for oneself, others, and the planet. And governance and rights are the two themes that link all this. Because imagine if, there was one new right, because youth rights have been written by adults. So it's like when women's rights are written by men, that doesn't work. Okay, so imagine if you had one new right, which is the right to ask for new rights, which is basically what you're doing in this sort of exercise. You ask the right to be heard on the ideas you have. Okay, so imagine you have this one new right, which is to ask for new rights. What are the rights you would want to have? What are the rights you would want to fight for? What are the rights you would want for your generations and for the next generations? And again, the reasons why, for instance, children's are not citizen are typically because many people, many adults consider that you're too young, that you're not well educated, not well informed, not understanding the complexity of issues, and that you're too influenceable. But those are the very reason why women were not citizens in the 20th century, and those are the very reason why poor people were not citizens in the 19th century, and why no one was citizen in the 18th century. So I think it's time in the 21st century to ask for these new rights and become, planetizen and have the right to have your voice heard and even the right to vote on everything that concerns you. So I'll stop here because there is many more sessions and things to be discussed. And I look forward to see what you come up with in terms of creative ideas for our common future. Thank you so much for being here.
Hey, thank you so much. Now, I would just like to invite Keshav Gupta, the founder of the Dais.
Thank you, Kohana. And again, such relevant and powerful remarks, Francois, to begin our Model UN conference for this year during the festival. I think MUN presents a perfect platform for preparing all of us as young people to start making a difference in the world. And I don't mean it just for the sake of the words I'm saying. I can use my own personal example to all of you. I started my Model UN journey in 2008, and I never imagined that in the next 5, 6, 7 years, I will be at the real UN, speaking at the UN forums. And then another couple of years, and I would be training and conducting workshops for the UN office itself. So the journey from MUN and the UN is not very far for any of you. And they always, and the most important thing that I think for any MUN that you all delegates need to remember is that the UN begins with you. That's the most important thing. So we have to decide the kind of world we have to live in. and the institutions that govern this same world. And that is what the MUN's objective is for all of us, to prepare ourselves to first understand how the United Nations works, and then to start collaborating with each other, and finally to be able to shape a world that we actually want to see as our future together. And if we can start collaborating at our own level as human beings, we can present a perfect framework for the human beings who sit at the UN offices and in governance and in positions of governance, to start cooperating and looking beyond just self-interests and to look at people and the planet. So once again, let me just also congratulate Learning Planet Institute and UNESCO for putting together this amazing Learning Planet Festival and having given us this opportunity. I think let me also just take this opportunity to inform you that just following up from Francois' conversation, we are intending to launch a Remodel UN project together, wherein we want to mobilize young people from around the world to actually start making these decisions and coming together to create children's-led rights. As Francois said, that the rights of the 20th century were written by adults. I hope that together we can actually write the rights for the 21st century ourselves, for young people, for children. And just, I think one more thing that I want to mention about this year's conference, especially, is that we have the privilege of having at least 7 to 8 of these incredible partner organizations, which are making a real life impact in the same fields that we are discussing. And we are very lucky to have experts from these different organizations who will be talking to you before the debate even begins about how real change making is happening. So at the Dais Global Voices Model UN, we want to use this as a platform to launch all of you towards the UN in the real world. And I think if you start believing together as a committee, as an individual, no one can stop us, and we will have speakers from the UN, members who already are at the UN, listen to us, and these all the solutions you come up with are not just going to stay inside these Zoom calls. They will be endorsed, advocated, and talked about by our partner organizations externally also. So my only hope is for all of you that you do this with utmost passion, sincerity, and belief. And once you start changing things in your own committee, I'm sure you will also see the changes start happening in the world with you at the leadership for it. So thank you once again, and over to you, Kohan.
Thank you so much, Keshav. That was some enlightening words. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Now, I would like to invite Shruti Sharma, who is the Partnerships, Marketing and Communications Lead at Generation Global.
Hello, everyone. Good evening from India. And a very big thank you to Team Dais, to Keshav, the Learning Planet Alliance, for inviting me here for this launch ceremony of the Global Voices Model United Nations 2023. And I would like to pass on my heartiest congratulations to you, Keshav, and the entire team at Dais for your continued efforts to provide young people with a platform to voice their opinions, really about issues that matter most to them. I'm just, like Francois was saying, I'm just so glad to see that every year there is an even better and an even bigger edition of the Model United Nations. And I'm going to echo some of the same sentiments that you and Francois have just shared, to invite everyone to come together to contribute more meaningfully. I see there are so many delegates and young people on this call today, from different parts across the world, different countries across the world, different regions in India, and they're all participating in this global edition of the Model United Nations. I'm sure it's a great honor to represent, an area that you're so passionate about, to represent your country. And it's also a great learning experience, right, for all of you. Unfortunately, like Keshav, I didn't have the opportunity to participate in Model United Nations patience in school, but it's great that all of you are starting so young. You'll get it's a great opportunity to really build your knowledge about global issues, practice those key leadership skills and co-create solutions to the problems that we face today. But have you really paused and wondered, all delegates and everyone who's here on the call, as to why are you participating? Yes, I know you will get a certificate. We all love our certificates. But beyond that certificate, why are you really participating? On a very serious note, I feel the answer is quite simple. You are the future. And because you are the future, you need to be empowered and equipped to deal with these unknown challenges of the 21st century. And based on what we've just heard Francois and Keshav say, you need to be capable to write, or rather rewrite, the rights for the 21st century. We're all aware of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. The SDGs lay out the collective goals for all the countries to make the world a better place. There are 17 SDGs, as we know, to address environmental, social, economic, and political issues facing the world. But we cannot make the world a better place without your help. We need your support to create more equitable and just societies. We need your help to ensure every young person receives quality education, to be able to end poverty in all its forms, to promote healthy lives, to ensure sustainable and reliable energy, and most importantly, to take action against climate change. I can really go on and on about the areas that we need your help. And I'm very happy to see that many of these areas are also going to be covered across the different committees in this edition of the Model United Nations. The other side to this is there are 1.8 billion young people currently between the ages of 10 and 24. And this is the largest youth population ever. I'm sure you must have gone to various sessions, or your teachers or your parents, everyone's telling you this. We have the largest youth population ever. Let that sink in. But you as young adults are also facing a very unique challenge. And that's not been witnessed by previous generations or my generation or generations before me. You've entered this decade during an economic crisis, and you're exiting at the outset, or you've exited at the end of a global pandemic. But at the same time, I feel you as young people, you're more positive, you're fearless, you're brave, you bring a fresh perspective, you're full of hope, and you have immense potential to really make a difference, to really generate that positive social change in the world. So I would suggest, and as if you're not already going to, please make the most of this Model United Nation experience and all the other opportunities that would come your way to learn about the SDGs. Really help us. I'm being very selfish when I say this. Really help us, my generation, find innovative solutions to the problems that we've created, the problems that we all collectively face right now. The world needs you. And I just want to say, if you want to continue your learning opportunity after the Model United Nations, I want to invite you to this platform called the Ultimate Dialogue Adventure. It is a safe and gamified platform where you're going to meet thousands of young people from all over the world, from about 50, 55 different countries, where you can connect with them, interact, exchange ideas, with these students from different countries, really share your perspectives, your opinions on different SDGs, different global issues. You can do that without being judged. You can do that freely. You can also hear stories and solutions about how SDGs are manifesting in other people's lives around the world. It's really a fun game where you can participate, earn points, and practice different skills. So I look forward to seeing you on the Ultimate Dialogue Adventure. But before that, good luck to all the 6 committees, all the delegates in this edition of the Model United Nations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shruti. That was amazing. Lastly, I would like to invite Janet Raffner, who's a researcher at the Center for Hybrid Intelligence.
Hi, thank you so much for the invitation. It's such a pleasure to be here. It was wonderful. I was actually connected through Francois to Keshav, and I am also a Model UN graduate from not so many years ago, but I had a fantastic experience doing the Hague International Model UN when I was a high school student. And just a couple of years ago, I also had the great pleasure of presenting at the UNGA in New York. So I can echo Keshav that it's not a huge leap from being there and participating as a student to being there as an adult and in your career, talking about what you're passionate about. And today I am leading the session on AI for good. So now I'm a researcher and I focus in what's called human AI interaction. And particularly I work in co-creativity. And for that, it's very visual. So I'm actually going to share my screen just briefly so that you can get a sense of some of the projects and some of the things we'll be talking about in the session. So first of all, I work at this center called Center for Hybrid Intelligence. It's in Denmark. I'm originally from the States, but I've been lucky enough to live now in 5 different countries. And now Denmark is my home. And I'm sure pretty much everyone here has heard of AI or artificial intelligence. We hear about it in many different contexts, but you probably haven't heard of hybrid intelligence. And hybrid intelligence is really about a partnership between a human and an algorithm. So the algorithms are augmenting the human processes instead of replacing them or taking over particular parts of the task. And I am quite interested. Let's see if this will click through. I'm quite interested in human AI co-creativity. So in particular, how algorithms can be used in creative experiences. But I'm not interested in this just to make art or to make design, but really to empower the general public for social good. So I'll be talking about how these new technologies that are out there can be used to have anyone, including you all at the Model UN, think about problems and solutions in your local communities. And I'll be presenting this particular project called CreaVisions, and you'll actually get to participate with it. It's a image generation game that I have developed along with the team at Center for Hybrid Intelligence over the past 4 years, which allows anyone in the public to think about a possible future and create a vision of it. And we have been so fortunate to have just done a series of workshops here in Paris. That's where I am now at the Learning Planet Festival, where Parisians have been able to identify problems that they have seen in their day-to-day activities, and then create imagery both around the problem and around potential solutions for that problem. Overall, we've had over 1,000 participants in these activities and more than 25,000 images generated. And the focus of it really is to use this artificial intelligence to allow anyone to reflect on issues that are bothering them and to create images of them, and also to be able to describe both the problems and solutions and then connect those solutions to the local community. And this is a technology that falls into the category of what you would call participatory democracy or participatory futures. So this is a type of engagement that's different than voting or participating in normal governmental activities, and really focused on letting anyone, regardless of age or regardless of visa status, all of these different things, communicate their ideas and their solutions to problems that they're facing. So that's it. Hope to see you in the AI for Good session later.
Thank you so much. I'm sure it was inspiring for many, many students. I would lastly like to invite Ria Garwal, who is the Director General of the Global Voices MUN, to give an introduction to the Secretariat and the Executive Board.
Kohana, can you check if I'm audible?
Yeah, you are.
Okay. Hi, everybody. So let me introduce you all to our executive board members. So for the UNGA, we have Devesh Gupta as the chairperson. For the committee UNGA, we have the vice chairperson as Sahil Chopra. For UNEP, we have Rahul Sethia as the chairperson. For UNEP only, we have Ananya Pandey as the vice chairperson. For the committee UNICEF, we have Mr. Ayush Tanwar as the chairperson. For the committee UNICEF only, we have Rishi Parsija as the vice chairperson. For the committee ITU, we have Nipun Gulati as the chairperson, followed by Mayank Veerwani sir as the vice chairperson in the committee. Now let's talk about the chairperson of WHO. We have Ms. Rahat Verma, followed by the vice chairperson as Shiva Sharma. Now let's talk about the committee UNESCO. We have Sehed sir as the chairperson. Now, the hands behind this whole conference, let me proudly introduce you all to our secretariat members. So first we have our dear Secretary General Nitya Arora, followed by me, Riya Gharwal as Director General. We have Sargam Jain as the Head of International Press. And we have Deputy Director General as Kohana Madha, followed by Priyansh Chauhan as the Deputy Secretary General, Gauri Khanna as the USG Marketing, Arnav Gupta as USG Delegate Affairs, and Ishan Khattar as USG Hospitality. Now we would be talking about the partners. First, Y East, followed by Children in All Policies, CAP 2030. Then Generation Global, followed by the Foundation for Global Conference and Sustainability, the World House Project by Stanford University, followed by the Center for Hybrid Intelligence, and Earth Day Network India. Now we'll talk about the experts behind this organization, behind this conference. We have the Eureka as the Vice President of the Foundation for Global Conference and Sustainability. We have Frances as the President of Learning Planet Institute, followed by Janet, who is a researcher at Center for Hybrid Intelligence. Then we have Dr. Bethany as the programmer and researcher coordinator of the CAP 2030. Next, we have Edward, who is the product manager at Learning Planet Alliance. Next, we have Neela, who is the director of the Education and Outreach Southeast Asia. Next, we have Veena. She is the co-founder at the Green Team. Thank you, Kohana. Over to you.
All right, thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, Kohana, you're audible.
Okay, perfect. So now that we're done with that, I would like to hand over the mic to Riya Gharwal. Riya?
The mic would be given to Nitya.
All right. Do we have Nitya in the meeting with us?
Hi, quick confirmation if I'm audible.
Yeah, you are.
Great. I would quickly like to take a minute to extend the vote of thanks to everyone. On behalf of the entire secretariat at the Global Voices MUN, I would like to thank you all who joined us for this conference. It's overwhelming to see the youth come together and discuss the issues that plague the world today. My gratitude to all of our partner organizations and experts who graced us despite their busy schedule and across varied time zones. I'd also like to thank our executive board members and last but definitely not the least, all of our delegates who will be participating in this conference. I hope that all of you have a wonderful time at the conference. And with that, I, Nitya Arora, the Secretary General of the Global Voices MUN, declare the conference open. I would now like to give the floor to Keshav Gupta to explain the further procedures of the call. Thank you.
Thank you, Nitya. And again, once again, just echoing our gratitude to all our partners, all the delegates, many teachers also on the call who've joined us. Thank you all for facilitating your school's participation. So now, delegates, we will be opening, and I also see many of our partners, colleagues from the Learning Planet Alliance, from various organizations. Just a warm welcome to all of you. Now, delegates and everyone, we will be having our sessions, our committee sessions. We will be heading to the committees. The committees will happen through 6 different breakout rooms, and the names of the breakout rooms have been classified with the committee names. So so once we open the breakout rooms, you will see the committee names, and you will have the option to join in. If you face any problems in joining the breakout rooms, kindly stay back on the call, and we will facilitate your joining the breakout rooms. Now, before the committee proceedings, the debates begin. As I had mentioned, that we have organized this interaction with our experts from various fields and who are really leading this change and impact in real life on these issues, and with all the delegates in the respective committees. So when you head to the committees, we will have those interactions. And after the interactions, the committee proceedings will begin. So we will be now moving into our our respective committee proceedings. So this concludes our closing ceremony. And thank you so much, everyone who made this a successful and again, a very impactful beginning to the conference. Hopefully, I hope that all of our guests, you can join us if you have some time tomorrow for the closing ceremony as well, to know what the wonderful delegates have come up with in terms of the